So good evening, good evening, good evening, and welcome to tonight's Novae, how to get an 800 plus credit score. So super excited that you are on the line tonight or tuning in live, whether you're tuning in live on Facebook or YouTube. Again, we had some technical difficulties, so we are rebroadcasting. So again, I just want to welcome you to tonight's call. So just putting a disclaimer out here. In order to get your 800 credit score in 2021, of course, is going to depend on tonight's information and you utilizing it, as well as all the rest of the tools and resources that we have and other calls that we have that are going to determine the trajectory of your life in 2021. So if you're on the line tonight, if you're tuning into this live, wherever you're tuning in from, then you're all about 800 credit score. I'm pretty sure 2020 taught you that, hey, my credit score is important, so that's why you're here tonight. So again, I'm Alicia Friday Goins, Novae leader here with Novae leader here in Wilmington, North Carolina. I'm super excited about getting you tonight's information. So before we get into tonight's information, you're probably wondering, who am I and what qualifies me for tonight's information? Well, in a nutshell, again, tonight's not about me, but I want to go ahead and let you know what's going on. So I am a business and personal credit specialist and affiliate with Novae. I've been with the company since 2014. So we're talking 6 years. I am a serial entrepreneur with a personal and business credit profile. I've helped several individuals raise their credit score. I went from homeless to homeowner, and I was homeless in 2014 and went to a homeowner in 2017. I'm a part of the leadership advisory team in Novae. I've been a product of the product since 2014. And most importantly, this key piece, I'm just like you. All right. So I made mistakes. I wasn't educated about my credit in the beginning, and I made some mistakes, but now my credit keeps getting better as a result of those errors, of those mistakes. And we're going to get into what I mean by this in just a second. So in order for you to get that 800 credit score, there are a couple of things that you need to get first. All right. So I want you to repeat after me. I control my credit score. And in 2021, I'm going to stop letting it control me. All right. So now I'm going to repeat that back to you. You control your credit score. And in 2021, you're going to stop letting it control you. So again, tonight's call is all about how to get an 800. So in order to get that 800, here's some things you got to get. You got to get educated about your credit. You got to get disciplined. You got to get financially organized. You got to get a strategy. You got to get equipped, get your increase, and then you got to start living the lifestyle that you deserve. All right. So let's get into tonight's information. So when we talk about getting educated about your credit, this is the key piece. So I hope you have a piece of paper or hit pause if you're watching the replay, right? You're going to want to take notes. All right. So understanding what credit is. Credit is the ability to access goods and services, but now and pay for them later. Now, for most of you, that's probably a no-brainer, but there are people out there that don't even know what credit is. So it's basically making a purchase now, but you're not going to pay for it for about 30 days later, okay? Now, you also need to understand that there's a FICO score range. And when we talk about a FICO score range, it ranges from 300 to 850. And of course, the higher, the better. We're going to break that down in just a moment. Also understand that a credit score evaluates and rates your credit worthiness. So if you're on here right now and, hey, you're a business owner or you're a homeowner or you're just looking to get your credit back in order, understand that your credit score is an evaluation of how good you are with some of the things we're going to talk about in just a moment. It is a rate of your credit worthiness. And business owners, this is very, very important because they're going to judge this off anything and off of everything, okay? How you handle your score. Again, I'm going to get into it in just a second, but this is important for homeowners. This is a major, major, major key. All right. So it's also, when we talk about your credit, it's also how you're going to get your keys to your home and vehicle in 2021, how you're going to fund your business, how you're going to fund your education, fund your health care, how you're going to fund your lifestyle, travel, and etc. So you also need to understand that credit and community have a link. They go hand in hand, right? Kind of like this. So the higher the credit score, the better community. I don't know where you live right now, but you got to understand this. We no longer have area codes. We have credit codes. So when you look at where you're living, right, and you look at some of the stores and things in that neighborhood, or the restaurants or the schools or the crime rates and all these different things, Sometimes if you're in areas and it's not so good, that means the credit scores there aren't high. And I'm just being transparent because, hey, this is all about credit education tonight. But when you have a better credit score, it is going to allow more people to become homeowners. So are you in an area where there are houses and homeowners? Are you in an area where there are apartment complexes or condos? Nothing wrong with that. But think about it. When you own your home, your taxes improve that area. All right. And you're more likely to vote in local elections. I know everybody voted recently, but when you have a good credit, you're more likely to be involved with deciding who your leaders are. You also take more pride in your property and take better care of it. Think about this. Let me break it down. When you get a rental car, do you wash it? Do you vacuum it out? Do you make sure the trash gets out of it? Hopefully you do. Do you put air fresheners in it? Do you wax it? You probably don't. Why? Because you don't own it. All right. So that's what I mean by you take more pride in the property and when it's yours, when you own it. All right. And also credit and community. When we talk about credit and community, bottom line, better credit scores means lower crime rates and better schooling. So let's talk about FICO score ranges. And while I go through these, I want you to think about where you are. So let's start at the bottom, poor. Now, poor credit score is under 580. A lot of people feel like that's kind of a good range to start house searching, but lately it's really not, okay? So when you look at you being under 580, this bottom line means you need some work. There are some things that you need to work on. Maybe you need to get some negative items off or things of that nature, but there's some things you need to work on. When you're in the fair range, we're talking about 580 to 669. This typically means maybe, you got some credit utilization issues. You need to get some high credit cards down, or maybe you need to get some credit trade lines or build some credit building, get some credit building resources, or get cleaned up a little bit, or maybe, fixing some things or balancing that positive and negative. Maybe that's your problem. Okay. When you're in the good range, you're at a 670 to 739. All right, 670 to 739. This means it's okay to start searching. It's okay to start finding a lender and get funding for your business because you're in that range where you're going to get qualified. Okay. Now, when we talk about the very good range, this is 740 to 799. This means you are doing the thing. You're mastering this model that we're getting ready to talk about, and you got that house, you got the keys, all right, you got the business money most likely, all right, and you're on your way to the 800 plus. And then when we talk about exceptional, that means that you are in the 800 plus club. All right, that means your bag is totally secured and you've got buying power, meaning you've got 100K in buying power, which means, hey, you've gotten there, but I'm going to challenge you to reach back and get somebody else and help them along. Let them be an authorized user on your account, right? You can shred the card, okay? But reach back and help somebody else because, when we get more people with an 800 credit score, that's 100K multiplied. And just imagine what that can do for family trees. Imagine what it can do for the communities, all right? So those are the ranges. So again, think about where you are. And if you don't know where you are, it is time to figure out where you are so you can start getting to where you need to be so you can get those keys or whatever other financial goals that you have set for 2021. So let's understand what makes up your score. Now, this is this model that I was talking about, and you want to take notes here because this is all about mastering this, all right? So there are 5 categories. Now, you start automatically. So we came out of high school automatically with 300, all right? Maybe we're a little bit higher. I don't know, but the creditors knew because they gave us everything we needed to mess ourselves up, all right? So you came out with 300. Now, the first things first part of this model is payment history. Now, I want to pause right here and I want to say this. Now, one of our leaders here with Novae, his name is Coach Tony Bowens, he says that, hey, the banks don't care about your credit score. They only care about your credit profile. This is the magic to your credit profile right here. If you master this, then the banks will give you whatever you want. All right, so take copious notes. Number 1, payment history. That counts for 35% of your score. This is the major thing you got to pay attention to, are 192 points. So when we talk about payment history, you want to make sure that you're paying your things on time. Number 2, credit utilization. This counts for 30% of your score, and we're talking 165 points. All right. So when we talk about this, then we're talking about just because you have that big trade line or that big credit limit doesn't mean you got to spend it. Just because you have the big credit limit doesn't mean you have to spend it. You want to make sure you stay under 30%. That's what they want to see, especially if you're going to be a homeowner. They're going to make sure that you're not maxing everything out, that you can be responsible with your credit score. Number 1 and number 2 are the heaviest weights of your credit score and what are paid the most attention to. All right, so make sure you master 1 and 2. Number 3, the age of your credit. Now, this is when you talk about getting into those 800 credit scores. Number 3 is kind of like a secret weapon, all right? They want to see long credit history. The longer your credit history is, the more likely it is you're going to get to those 750 plus. And I said 750 plus, all right? Because you've got a longer credit history. This counts as 15% of your score, or 82 points. So this is why you never, ever, 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 ever want to close credit accounts. Number 4, your credit mix. This counts for 10% or 55 points. Credit mix, we're going to get into at the end of this call or the end of this broadcast, but credit mix is how many different types of credit do you have. They want to see a plethora of things. They want to see a mix, all right? So they know that you're responsible with all types of credit. And then number 5, new credit. Every now and then they want to see that you have a new account, just so they know that you're using it, that you're being active with your credit profile. They want to see that happening, and that's 10% up to 55 points. So when you look at the 300 already been given plus this model, which is 550 points, you can get a perfect 850. And yes, y'all, a 900 credit score is possible, okay? But if you understand this, if you master this, you got it, all right? So the next thing you got to get if you're going to get an 800 plus credit score is you got to get disciplined, all right? You got to get disciplined. Now, your spending habits and learning how to use your credit is everything. And I'm pretty sure 2020 taught y'all that you're going to do some things in 2021 that you did in 2020. You're not doing that anymore. You're going to change those things up because you understand it's time to get disciplined. So number 1 thing, control your spending. There are a lot of things you can do without. You got to weigh wants versus needs. Do you want it or do you need it? Is it life or death? Can you do without it? Is it going to make some great impact, get you to a return on investment, change your life dramatically? If you're going to get those keys and get funded or whatever you need this 800 plus credit score for, you got to get serious about your mindset, about your spending. Check yourself just as much as we're checking our bank accounts right now, right? I know this is like time sensitive, but hey, whatever. You got to learn how to say no to those unnecessary purchases. You got to have some accountability or get an accountability partner. Again, you got to learn how to tell yourself no. Like, sis, kings, queens, whatever. If you got food at the house, eat the food at the house, okay? You don't need to go swiping your credit card to go do whatever. It's a no. It's a no, fam, okay? But get disciplined. Learn how to say no to unnecessary purchases. Do you need another pair of shoes? Do you need another purse? You need another pair of Jordans? Whatever you're using your credit card for. The answer is no. Also, you want to make sure that you put aside money to pay your credit card bills and your loans. A lot of times you may, go out here and swipe and you may be like, you know what, I'm going to get this now and I'll just pay it when the bill comes. But sometimes things happen. So you got to make sure that you're already disciplined in your mind, that you have a bank account or have a side account or however you're going to do your budgeting to put aside the money to pay your credit card bills off and to pay your loans. Because remember, you're going to hear this a lot because it's heavy. 35% of it is about your payment history. Also, you want to opt out of credit card offers because when you start to rebuild your credit and you start to get up there, you're going to get all types of credit card offers. And I'm going to suggest that you just opt out because what's going to happen is you're going to be tempted. Oh, I got approved for another card. I got approved for another. I got approved. We want to see new accounts, but you don't need that many to start off with. When it comes time to getting those credit cards or adding those new trade lines to get that boost, you'll know when it is, but you don't want to keep collecting credit cards. It's not a good thing, all right? So just opt out until you're ready. And remember, you can always do a search when you get to the qualified score and do a search and find what you need to find. Also, refuse to use the credit lines when you can't afford the balance. So think about it. It adds up. You got a credit card, you go grab something to eat. This is one day. You grab something to eat, then you swing by, I'm just using for instance, you swing by Wally World, Then you swing by Sam's and grab a couple items, then you get gas. Now you have built a balance. All these things have accumulated, and now you're either going to pay the minimum balance or you're going to pay the whole thing off. So if you can't afford to pay the whole thing off, then just don't do it. All right. In order to get this 800, you got to get financially organized. My husband always tells me, shout out to Jerry Goins, he always tells me that, your debt are the weeds in your financial garden. And I don't know about y'all, but if you're tuning in live or if you're watching the replay, you're trying to grow, okay? So listen, in order to grow, we got to get financially organized. And to do that, you got to get comfortable with your bank statement. So funny story, New Year's Day, we stayed in the bed all day, doing three-way calls or getting goals set and getting our calendars together. And I printed out the bank statements for the last 2 months and I ran from them because I know at the end of the year, we messed up. There may have been some things he didn't so much, but I did. There may be some things trying to make sure the family was happy, some overspending. And I was running from that because I'm better than that. Okay. But now you got to understand that you got to confront these things. And that's why I'm talking about spending habits. So you're going to have to get comfortable with your bank statement because when you go into business funding, they're going to know what's going on with your bank accounts. When you go to get a mortgage, they're going to want to know what your bank account it looks like, what your spending habits are. They're going to be watching big purchases and things of that nature. So just go ahead and get comfortable now. So embrace a budget. People think that is a bad word. Budget is not a bad word. It is a beautiful word. And in 2021, we're going to commit to a budget, okay? Whatever you want to call it. But it's going to help you save money. It's going to help you curb your spending. It's going to help you get your bills paid on time. Bottom line. You need to understand your cash flow. I say credit is queen and cash flow is king, all right? You have to understand what your cash flow looks like. We're going to dead this whole paycheck to paycheck mentality. And the moment that you understand your cash flow, the ins and outs, how many accounts you have going out versus how many accounts you got coming in, once you understand those things and you understand your cash flow, the next thing you want to do is start tracking your spending habits. Like I just said, are you eating out too much? Are you shopping too much? There's some subscriptions that can be canceled. All these different things play a factor and they need to be tracked. Again, told you I was going to repeat this. Remember that payment history is 35%. Therefore, budgeting is key. So why is budgeting important? Because you need to budget these balances if you occurred. You need to budget these annual fees and whatever else has occurred with your trade lines. Because remember, credit is a tool. It's not necessarily, I don't say it's a necessity, it's important. But to me, it's a tool to get me to where I want to be. So you want to make sure that you budget out so that you can pay these things off. And last but not least, you want to make sure that you know what your debt to income ratio is, because you don't want to get in a situation where you're getting ready to get funded or you're getting ready to get a home and you have that issue. So you need to already know what your monthly debts are, okay? Monthly debt divided by your monthly income. And you want to make sure when that balance is out that it's above 45% or better, okay? You don't want to have a debt to income ratio. And if you do, then you need to start finding a tool that's going to help you eliminate some debt. We'll talk about that in a second. Next thing you want to do is get a strategy. So these are some tips for you. All right. So if you're going to get the 800, here are some tips. Number one, you want to dispute negative items. That is a no-brainer. You got to get some of these negatives off. When we talk about credit, it is a balancing act. All right. Positives and negatives. It is a balancing act. So writing your own dispute letters can be time consuming, especially in the world we live in right now. All right. But if you want to do it, more power to you. Go do it. But find someone that can do it for you. Okay, that's just a lot easier. Also, you want to ask for an increase on your credit cards, especially right now during the pandemic. They will give you a credit increase because they want to give you money because they're in business to give you some money. All right, bottom line. But just because you get an increase doesn't mean you get to spend some more money. Don't use the increase. I repeat, don't use the increase. Now, what this does is it gives you kind of an instant boost, because what happens is it builds your credit utilization. So maybe it was a little high, but when you add another trade line, it's getting you your percentage down with credit utilization. All right. Now, if you have a negative payment history, then you may not get this increase. So work on building a positive payment history, so later on down the road, you can utilize this tip. Also, become a authorized user. So if you know someone that's up there, ask a spouse, a friend, a relative, or someone whose account is in good standing if you can be a authorized user. And what that means is, hey, I'm just going to borrow a little bit of your credit history, your good credit habits to help put me to where I need to be. You don't have to use the card. They don't have to give you the card. They can shred it as far as I'm concerned. It depends on, if they're going to trust you or not. But if you're going to be an authorized user and they give you the card, be responsible. They've worked hard for this high credit score. So make sure that you're paying on time. All right. And plus that gives you a little bit of practice, a little bit of discipline. But again, ask about that, okay? Some more strategies. Get a secured credit card. So this means, since you're going to budget anyway, this means that you put in your budget to get a secured credit card, meaning you got to put some money down, build some credit before they give you one where there's no money down, okay? Now this is helpful if you can't get a primary card, all right? But it doesn't report as strong as a normal one. So it's okay if you're at the, those lower ranges, it's okay, but at least get started here and build it up, because eventually you'll switch over and you'll be on a unsecured card and all's well with the world. Okay. So that's a good idea. Again, report your rent payments. I know I said again, but report your rent payments. You're living there anyway. You're making sure it's paid on time. So you got good payment history. You're rarely late because you don't want to be on the streets. Make sure this is reporting to the bureaus. A lot of newer developments within the past couple of years are reporting. They use like a rent reporting portal for you to pay your rent. So double check and see if that's an option for you or if that's happening wherever you live. If not, there are ways to get your rent reported, and it takes about maybe a month and a half to get it all processed once the paperwork and everything's done. But it's well worth it, and it's very inexpensive for what it's going to do for you. Because again, that's going to help you build your payment history, and also your history. And it's going to look good when you get ready to go into home ownership, because they're seeing that you're paying this on time. So if you're paying your rent on time, you'll pay your mortgage on time. All right, no brainer. Next thing, don't close old credit cards. Be very wary of this one, okay? So funny story again, I have a Children's Place credit card. And our younger children, our three youngest, that's where I shop for most of their clothes. Very inexpensive. I love how trendy it is and all. That's what, an emotional decision. That's what motivated me to get this Children's Place credit card. But then I thought about it. I'm like, what's going to happen when they grow out of those sizes? Now, our middle child, we have 5 children. Our middle child's already grown out of it. He's reached size 16, so it's on the big boy clothes now. Logan's not too far behind him, but our youngest, she's 7. So what happens when she gets to size 16? What do I do? What do I buy? Well, somebody's child's going to be getting a lot of clothes, because guess what? I'm not closing that account. So someone's going to have a nice Christmas, whatever, but you're going to be stuck with these cards. So be very cautious of that when you start to apply for credit cards or store cards. Make sure that it's a store that you can use that has some longevity, because again, you want this credit history. Now, this is going to help you increase your utilization ratio for the remaining accounts. And it's also going to help you lower your score. Okay. Do not close these accounts, because if you do, that's what's going to happen. Also, seek some legal help. A lot of times you're harassed by people, right? They're calling you. They're like, you owe a debt and the debt's been sold, and they're trying to make you admit that you owe it and you don't owe it. And they're trying to trap you. And the minute you say, well, yeah, I remember, the minute you do that, then you're stuck with it. You're going to need a credit and debt attorney, okay? Because a lot of the things that these creditors are doing, especially when your accounts are sold, it is illegal. And there are tons and tons and tons of laws with the Fair Credit Reporting Act that happen, and you may not even know about it because you don't have the credit education. So again, you want to make sure that you know these things. That's going to help you get to where you need to be. The next thing you want to do is you want to get some tools. So of course, hey, I'm a leader here with Novae, so I'm going to talk about our number one solution, and that is Novae Money Premium. Now with it, we're going to, do your credit for you, right? We're going to do it for you. We're going to make sure this against all 3 bureaus, daily credit monitoring, a credit score tracker, and a simulator. Love this simulator because a lot of times you don't know how you're going to get those extra points. And with us, when we log into this portal, you're able to look and see, hey, well, maybe I need to pay the balance down on this, or maybe I need to open this new credit card, or what if I pay this off? Different things that would affect your score. It's able to give you an estimate of what would happen and how many point increases you would get. Very important if you're trying to get funded, if you're trying to get in a home, because you want to know when you're going to get to certain scores, okay? Also, identity theft protection. We talked about the credit and debt attorneys. Like, you're going to get all of that, okay? So get equipped with something. And if you want more information, to get back to either me, if you saw this on wherever you saw it from, but get back to whoever referred this to you, whoever tagged you, whoever shared this with you, whoever got you on the line. Make sure that you get back to them. Also, you want to make sure that you have some credit building resources. That is the equipment that you need to get this 800 credit score. So you want to have some primary user trade lines, or maybe the unsecured card or the secured credit cards that we talked about. Become an authorized user. All right. Maybe figure out a forced savings account. And I love this because I tell a lot of my clients when they come on board to start self or to either start credit strong. That's going to help you tremendously. And especially if you got some bad spending habits and you want to put some side money, save up for Christmas, depending on when you get started, save up for your closing costs, save up for, I don't know, your business's grand opening, any of that, but save up. And these things will actually be like report to the credit bureaus and build your credit. And also rent and reporting that we talked about. Those are some resources that you need and some tools that you need to get you to the 800. So let's talk about how you get the increase. And this is what you were here for. We're about to wrap up, but this is the 800 Credit Club checklist. And it's kind of an overview or a review of what we talked about tonight. And you want to start, number one, start working on getting those negative items removed. Number two, you want to add positive trade lines and start your credit building resources. Three, you want to get some of your high counts down. So if you already have some credit cards and you already have some things up there, you want to make sure that everything's down at 30%. If you got some debts you can pay them off. But if you have some errors, get them disputed. All right. Number four, you want to extend your credit limits, but remember, you're not going to spend it. Extend those credit limits, but don't spend it. Number five, you want to make sure that you have a healthy credit mix of revolving, installment, and open accounts. So this is what I was talking about earlier when I said we talk about at the end. You're going to make sure that you have some store cards, that you have some credit cards, that your rent is reporting, that your mortgage is reporting, and that you have open, good standing reports. That is what a credit mix is. They want to see basically a melting pot of credit, so to speak. So you're going to make sure that you have those things done. And again, I don't know if I said this earlier, maybe it was in my mind, but a lot of people are like, do you need a mortgage to get to the 800 Credit Club? You don't. You can get there without it. But if you're going to go over the top, then yes, you want a mortgage. So get the keys, build the equity, and boom, the 800s. All right. So, and most importantly, and wrapping up, you got to get started, y'all. It is 2021. I know you have huge goals. No more putting it off. No more running from it. No more tucking it away. I don't know what 2020 taught you, but 2021 taught me some discipline, baby. And right now, it's about securing the bag. It's about making sure that you have some buying power and that you get everything that you deserve in 2021, because 2020 held back some stuff. So this is about getting everything you desire, that you deserve. So get back to the person that invited you. And for the business owners, remember I said we were going to talk about something at the very end. Well, here it is. So as you know, the stimulus checks are going out, right? So everybody's checking their bank accounts, but hey, they're going to be doing the PPP and the EIDL again. So our CEO, Mr. Rico McCambry, is actually in the Forbes Business Council. And hey, he's going to do a 2021 early bird webinar. He did this last time and it was phenomenal. A lot of people got approved. So I highly suggest, even if you didn't have luck last time, to hop on to this webinar tomorrow night. It's going to be at 8 p.m. tomorrow night. So that is Wednesday, January the 6th, depending on when you watch this, Wednesday, January the 6th at 8 p.m. And you want to go to www.novaestimulus.com and you want to get registered, because again, some people didn't get approved, and it's because these questionnaires, these questions on here were difficult. But he's going to let you know how to qualify, how much you can qualify for, how to get the guaranteed loan forgiveness and get the grants. Also, strategies to get the most money and new updates, provisions, and other capital. And he's going to do a live Q&A. So if you have questions, he's going to be answering them on the spot. So y'all, please don't sleep on this opportunity. All right. So again, that's going to be tomorrow at 8 p.m. Novaestimulus.com. And he's going to go over the PPP, EIDL, and 10K grants. All right. So don't make this the last time that you tuned in to one of our 800 plus calls. We do this each and every other Tuesday, we do the 800 plus calls. and tune in, because we have phenomenal leaders from different industries that will be able to give you some information that you can take copious notes on to help you get to that 800. So next call is actually going to be January the 19th by one of our leaders out in New York. Her name is El Boogie, and you want to make sure that you tune into that call. So I want to congratulate you for being here this long and looking at this information and taking the first step on starting your journey to the 800 Club. So again, welcome to Novae and living the financial future that you deserve. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure, and we'll see you next time.